Welcome to the Live Explore podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe.
I'm here with a couple of baseball buddies, Rick Cantor, the commissioner of the Redwood Empire Baseball League, and Allan, Jaffe, a teammate of mine in the league. I know it's the middle of January, but pitchers and catchers report in 30 days, except for most of the REBL players, who will report 30 minutes before the first game, followed by the sound of hamstrings popping. According to the Rebel website, the Empire Baseball League, based in Sonoma, California, Sonoma County, California, is the premier adult baseball league in Northern California. It is affiliated with the largest amateur baseball league in the country, the Men's Senior Baseball League. This is Live Better, Explore More podcast. I'm Allan Mayseal. Welcome, Rick and Allan.
Thanks, Allan.
Thanks.
All right. Rick, how long have you been the commissioner?
My first year was 2003.
Wow.
So
So
going on my
20 years?
21st year, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How has that been?
It's been good. I mean, it's been a lot. I can't remember. It's hard to remember when I wasn't doing it now, as far as like my experience with the league.
Okay.
But it's been good. Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of grown into it.
What was probably the biggest challenge, like that you did not expect, but like, wow, I didn't see that coming?
The transition was a little bit difficult because of the situation we had with the previous commissioner. So I think just the ramp up of getting started was probably the most difficult part. But once we established a board of directors and a process, that process is pretty much stayed the same since then. So I think it was just that little ramp up to getting acclimated to going from just what I wanted to be before that was just a guy just coming to a game and being told what to do.
So now you're telling guys what to do.
And now I'm like the guy telling everybody what to do.
See, and
right?
I thought the answer was going to be, the first thing I didn't expect was how many players actually whine that much.
True.
I think
They don't last long.
there's an indication
Right? At least on my
in
teams.
every dugout, though. It's always there.
Exactly. How long have you played in the league?
Since 97 was my first year.
Wow, it's a long time.
Yeah.
All right, how about you, Allan? How long have you played in the league?
So I actually played a couple of years in the early 90s, right after the league began, when it was a 30 and over league only. And we played mostly at Rancho Cotati High School. I think almost every game was there. And then I went back to school and I started 16 years ago again, and have been playing since then.
All right, so we talked about the Men's Senior Baseball League. Steve Siegler's the founder, right?
Yeah.
He's got a famous daughter.
Yes, he does.
Can she hit?
I think she probably can because Jamie Lynn, Meadow soprano, is actually now married to Lenny Dykstra's son.
Oh, I did not know
A
that.
little inside baseball there for you.
That's good knowledge right there. All right. Tryouts. So
Yes.
people out there who are going to want, who probably don't know where to go, what to do. There's tryouts. Where's that happen? Who should show up? How do we get in contact if we want to try and play?
If you want to get involved with the league, the first thing to do would be go to the website,
Okay.
www.rebl.org.
Okay.
And there is a form on the website that says New Player Registration Form.
Okay.
And they fill that out and they submit it. And then I get an email from that. And then I will then send out, so I collect these emails and I send out one email to all these guys with information about the league. And part of that is an announcement for new players go to the tryouts, which is always the first Sunday of March. And I think this year that would be March 5th.
Okay.
And then always now, like in early January, I don't know what the location is because we kind of wait to see what the weather is like. Some fields drain better than others. Some fields may not be available for the tryouts. So as we get closer, like in mid-February, we'll finalize what field it's going to be, like at a place like Park or Santa Rosa High School or what have you. And then so any new player that wants to get involved with the league, we go to the tryouts, and they spend the first couple hours of the morning, like a workout, and then right there at the field we have a draft, and so they know what team they're on.
Okay. So when you say a workout, what specifically? What is it that if I show up, what am I going to be expected to do, or what am I allowed to do?
You're going to be expected to, first of all, get your body loose. Right, so you got guys that are 50 years old coming out, haven't done anything for 30. So get your body loose, get your arm loose a little bit. We'll start out with some fly balls, so everybody will congregate in the outfield, and we'll hit some fly balls, and they'll throw the ball back in, make some throws to second base, third base, and then we bring them all in, and you'll field some ground balls and throw them to first base. Okay. And then we'll do a batting practice. So all the tryout guys will hit. They'll get like 10 swings. And after the batting practice is over, then we have the pitchers pitch to the catchers. Okay. And then that whole time could have anywhere between 20 to 38 managers all stand there with their clipboards and making notes as guys go along. And
instead of a stopwatch, they use a sundial.
Right.
For some guys. Yes. I will say if you don't follow Rick's advice and get loose before and maybe have thrown a ball a couple times, you might want to call in sick on Monday.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. All right, when does the season begin?
Mid-April.
Okay.
Depending on where Easter falls. So Easter Sunday we don't play.
Right.
So we usually start like the second Sunday of April, but this year the second Sunday is Easter, so now we don't start till the third Sunday of April.
Okay. And when do you determine how many games? Right. I remember last year we had it was going to be 17 or 19. And the smart ones were saying 17, and the ones who have a better health care plan were saying 19.
Don't remind me, So that actually started this week. So in December, the board meets, and we go over what we think, how many teams we have in each division. And then, so that's going to really dictate how many games you play, how many teams are in your division. Okay. And so we have an idea. We have a big managers meeting once a year, which was this past Tuesday night. And then the managers have some input on what type of schedule they want. So you could have, if you have like 8 teams in division, you have a balanced schedule, 7 games against everybody for a 21-game schedule. Right. But the managers may say, we don't want any doubleheaders, so we'll play a little bit less. So that usually, the number of games for a team is usually decided in January. Okay. Unless we have, late January, a team pulls out, now we have less teams in that division than we thought, we have to adjust. But it's usually pretty settled into early January.
Okay. How many players play in the league approximately?
Approximately 700.
Okay, so that's like the 20. Is there an 18 and over?
There's not a 18 over division, but the 25 and over divisions, each team has 7 spots on the roster for guys between 18 and 24. Okay. So we technically call it a 25 and over, but we have 18 to 24s that can't play.
Okay. So what's selecting fields? What's the process for that?
It's we have with 40. So we'll have 40 teams this year. So we'll need 10 to 12 fields every Sunday. Okay. And so oftentimes beggars can't be choosers. So if it's a decent field, we're going to want to go there. But we're lucky. And I know it's different for different leagues, and you hear different stories about what type of fields they play on. I think that we're somewhat lucky. We have a lot of guys in the league that are in the programs for local high schools. Right. And so that's always a way in to get in a field. So the process is, if we have someone in the league there, we're probably playing at that high school. Like Paige DeMont at Santa Rosa High School, right. Dick Reed at Pioneer High School. And then we look at like the city-owned fields, like Doyle Park is owned by the city. In that situation, if we think it's a decent enough field to play games on, we'll go to the city and we'll talk about reserving time there to play there. Okay. So it's availability, access, and quality is probably the 3 determining factors.
Okay. So what's the process for umpires?
Umpires is easy. There's one organization to contract with, and he does everything.
Do you get feedback? I mean, I know on the fields there's feedback, right? I mean, I think Doyle Park's that one off of Hohen?
Yeah.
In Santa. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that one was a little ragged. All right. And
it can be.
But previously, it was a really good field. I mean, the infield was in good shape. It was. So I know you hear about that.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know you hear about the umpires. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean you're not a baseball player if you don't complain about something, right? I mean, that just seems part of the thing. Put on your jock, complain,
Yeah.
right? So it's just the one association that you contract with.
Right.
They have the umpires. So where else do these umpires umpire besides in our league?
It's funny because I was just had this conversation yesterday with our the head of the umpire association that we use, the assigner, and he was just talking about other conflicts that will take away from some of his umpires working our games, that they have this to do and they have that to do. So there's over the last 10 years, there's been this explosion in travel ball and youth travel ball, and how many different leagues they have, and that's really increased over the last 5 to 7 years, and that's competition for the umpires. A lot of umpires they need umpires to work those games. There's collegiate summer leagues like the Prune Packers, the Pacifics, the Scuba Divers. That's another demand for umpires during the summer. There's a Latin league in Santa Rosa that could be another competition for umpire services during the summer.
Okay. All right. So how many players per team is a good, safe number? This is for both of you, since you're really kind of a manager. And this is this is a personal one for me, because no matter how many people we have, we always show up 3 games. We're like a player short or 2. And we've had to recruit a guy out of the stands who is on our team playing with Eddie Bauer gray pants on that match the uniform.
He's not lying.
It's unbelievable.
It really depends who you ask. And because the divisions, you addressed that briefly, but we have 25, 35, 45, 55. Is it 62 or 65?
It's 65 now.
65 and over divisions. And those last 2 divisions, or 3 divisions, can have more players, 22, unless you changed it Tuesday,
22, yeah.
versus 20 for the younger guys. And there's a good reason for that, because parts on your body start falling off when you get older, and you need maybe a couple more old fellas. The opinions, I think, kind of vary. Between some people think 16 is a great number, so you get more playing time, provided all those guys show up, or most of them show up. Some people think, all 20 or 22. I like 17 players who are going to show up. And to your point, games 1 and 2, all 17 guys are there. And then in the middle of the season, when vacation time happens, you get 10, and 2 of them are injured. So I don't know what you think.
No, it's funny because you're right. Game 1, you're carrying 20 guys on the roster, and 20 guys show up, and you as the manager going, how the hell am I going to work everybody into the game? Right. And then I have to have a conversation with this guy, another conversation with this guy. Say, we got a lot of guys here today. You may not get more than a couple at bats, but give it a couple months. And then a month and a half, 2 months later, you're making calls on Friday night, Saturday to make sure you have 9 guys on Sunday.
Right. So you manage the Pirates. Now, is 20 that number for you? Like, you try to get to 20 every season?
I will probably carry 20, but I don't want 20 active guys.
So how do you manage that?
It really depends on how many part-time guys you have in your roster.
Okay.
You have to figure out how many guys I have that I can count on being there every Sunday, and you generally want 12 of those guys that you can count on every Sunday, and then maybe carry another 4, 5 part-time guys that won't be there every Sunday, but you'll still work in. You just can't be there.
Right.
So I would want to have 17, maybe even 18 guys that will be playing, and I may carry 2 guys that maybe they'll show up, emergency guys.
Right. Okay.
I like 12 in the dugout at any given game is great.
Yeah.
That way everybody gets enough at bats and time on the field, and nobody's overtaxed.
Right. That sounds good in theory.
Yes. Everything sounds
Until
good in theory.
2 guys are hurt, 3 guys are on vacation.
Exactly.
And what am I going to do? Scouring the wait list to find another player.
When was the last time you pitched?
Yeah. How's your arm feel? It hurts like hell. No, but you're still standing, so get out there.
That's right.
Can
I
you
can throw one then.
Can you give me a couple
true.
of these?
I can face one batter.
All right. Who's the best player you played with or against in the league? And for you've played a long time, and you've played a long time. So, you might say, hey, in the 35 and older, the 25, the 35 and older, whatever it was this person, or there's a couple of them, right? I mean, there could be more than one. And the league, the 35 to 45s, you may have a particular, person.
Yeah.
Right? Or persons, right?
Yeah.
Listen, this is being recorded.
What's the best politician answer I can come up with right now?
Oh, yeah, right. You're an official.
Right. That's true. That's
No. I've just played I played a long time against and against a lot of very, very good ball players, and it's hard to say who was the best because it's a list. It's a list of 5-10 guys that were just outstanding players, and because I started out in the 25s. And I've progressed through now into the 45s. It's kind of relative. Like you would expect, playing in the 25s, that's where the best players are.
Right.
And how could I not say that this guy I played with or against in the 25s was not the best player that I played with, as opposed to like some of the great players I'm playing with and against in the 45s now. It's a very, very tough answer. Guys I've played against in our local league as opposed to tournaments.
Just in in our league, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go to tournaments later, but because that's a whole nother kind of can of worms, right?
Yeah.
But in the league, that's why I think he's going to get drilled because he didn't mention pitchers.
Probably.
Pitchers, and pitchers are a little soft.
If I had an arm, I'd drill him.
Well, I'm a pitcher too, so
See?
I can pay back a little bit.
He's going to drill
it's all right.
too. Yeah.
So if I get drilled, I can always pay back.
That's right.
I still have the ball in my hand.
I have no tools.
You can make the order. You can make the call.
Yeah.
Come from the dugout.
Come in spikes high. That's all I can do. I will answer I will answer your question. I have no political leanings, and I'm going to say Tiny Felder. I played with him and against him, and I would say, bar none, he's a guy who can come 5 minutes before the game, put his spikes on, and play anywhere on the diamond that you need him, and he does it well. He'll go out, lace his shoes up, and hit a triple, and come back and where do you want me to be?
So he's got a little bit of a history, right?
Tiny Felder? Yeah, just a bit.
So tell me about it.
Tiny Felder was a rookie with the Seattle Mariners and played, we know him here in the Bay Area because he played for the Giants. And Mike Felder's still a great ball player.
That's what happens when you start out with Seattle. You end up in the Rebel.
Hey now.
So I never played against him.
Played against Tiny? Oh.
No, not I've heard.
We played against him. He played in the 45s. Or did he play was it the 55s?
I played with him on the 45 Dragons before they moved up. And then I played against him when he was still with the 55 Dragons.
Yeah. There's the guy that I thought he doesn't belong in the 55s. I mean, really.
But I'm sure he could still. He's still real good shape. He still runs like the wind, probably.
And he can turn on an inside pitch well. He didn't discriminate here, down there. Turned on all of them.
He's got great baseball sense, of course.
Okay, how many former professional ball players have played or are still playing in the league? So I know Dave Meads, right? Mm-hmm. He's not the only one. Right. Chris White.
Chris White, AAA guy.
Yeah. So who else, that you've played with or played against, or not who's good?
Yeah.
Professional guys.
You got Mike Felder and Steve Bry that both play on the Dragons.
Rich Murray as well.
And Rich Murray played a couple of years.
One of the four Murray brothers that played Major League Baseball.
Yeah, brother of the Hall of Famer
Eddie Murray.
Yeah.
Wow. Tom Shepard, when the league first started, when I told you I played with a team called the Reds back then, and Tom Shepard came up with Tom Seaver in the Mets organization and played for the Mets and the Expos. Mm-hmm. And then of course their spaceman, Bill Lee.
Bill Lee's
and Bill Lee's 100, and he can still he's still's got that great ephus curveball and can still hit. He's only East Coast now. He was bi-coastal when he played with us.
Yeah.
But he's as good in the dugout or in the bar with a beer after as he is in the game.
Or in between on a doubleheader, he pulls out one of those little watermelons, and he pulls out an axe to cut it with.
Little
was-
hand axe.
The man is he's still a character.
But he's also the guy sitting in the dugout, and he'll talk to anybody
Yeah.
about anything. And probably one of the funniest things is one of our guys was up first pitch. It was a curveball, and he kind of waved at it. And all I hear Bill goes, "That's it, huh? That was the pitch you were looking for, first pitch."
It's true. It is absolutely true.
But he's also a guy. I mean, he was what 70.
He's about, I think he's 74 or 75 now.
So like he was young, 70, 71, and can turn and hit like one-hop fences.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could swing it.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I saw him down in Arizona this past winter. He's playing for the Sacramento Solons, and I said, "I bet you can still one-hop the fence is there. They're like 350 down the line, 2 miles out the center field." And I said, "I bet you can still one-hop the fence." And he looks up and he goes, "Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, it's no big deal. I'm 75. I'll turn on
How you
it."
do it?
That's funny.
And he's an American League pitcher.
Yeah.
He said,
That's right.
That's right. But what kept he said, "I got an extra 5 years when I went to the National League."
Yeah.
Pitch for
Because he
the
could hit.
Expos.
Yeah,
That's
Expos.
right.
Yeah.
Because he could hit.
Yeah.
All right. Tournament time. So there's like the Woodland tournament, which is Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
There's Palm Springs, which is this weekend, which I'm not sure how you play when it's raining,
Right.
but I'm sure we'll get a report. And then in October, there's Arizona, the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You've played in all these, right?
I have, yeah.
Okay. So how many of these?
I've never played tournament ball. I wanted to stay married, and now that was when I was mediocre. And now there's not, nobody's gonna ask me to play tournament ball. So
No,
fine.
I tell you, at your age, there's no doubt you can play.
Yeah, just stop that
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop
If
it.
nothing else, you know how to do that defibrillator thing, right?
Well, I know how to do that, and I can keep a book. So yeah.
There you go. So I've never played Woodland. I haven't played Palm Springs. I've been to the Vegas tournament once. I've been to Arizona. Arizona's fantastic, I think. But Woodland, everybody, like on our team, we have a couple of guys that played in Woodland, and they loved it. So you played in it. What
Yes.
was your experience with Woodland in 105-degree temperatures?
Oh yeah, I have those memories, those games where you've got the wet towel on the back of the neck in between innings because it's 105, 107 on a Saturday afternoon in Woodland, Sunday afternoon in Woodland. First, so the Woodland days are kind of over now because the Woodland Labor Day tournament did not happen last year because Sacramento put on their own what they're calling the Capital City tournament. So now it's going to be a Sacramento tournament because it's just not viable to have Sacramento do a tournament and Woodland do a tournament on the same weekend.
Right.
So this past year was the first year for Sacramento doing it. But the years of the Woodland tournament, I can't remember if it's Clark or Lee, but that kind of iconic field in downtown Woodland.
Clark.
Is it Clark?
He has the armory out in left field.
Right. So it's Clark.
Yeah.
Lee is the one down the street next to the cemetery, right? So it's always Clark and Lee. I always get the two mixed up.
No, Clark Field. That's usually
Yeah.
the one.
But that's
Okay.
and it's got that big tower.
Yep.
Yeah, in left field. Yeah. It's a beautiful yard, like an old feel to it. It's
Competition. How was the competition?
excellent. It's in the years of when they had a good number of teams at Woodland Davis. You were getting great teams out of the Tri-Valley. You were getting great teams up north or down south, like in Monterey would bring big teams. Obviously, Sacramento had some real great teams. It was a really, really high competitive tournament.
That explains why we didn't go. We were doing good until he said high competitive. We had a chance.
It's a good, convenient tournament. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah, and there's a lot of baseball talent in Northern California.
Yeah.
Just absolutely. You see all the number of Major League Baseball players that have come out of our county that only has under 500,000.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. So what about Palm Springs? So that's like a January tournament, and for the life of me, I don't understand why. I get Palm Springs this time would be not a lot of fun, but like you're coming literally out of the winter,
Right.
and nothing says injury like Palm Springs in January.
No kidding. If you don't do tournaments and you just play your local league ball, you're done in October.
Right.
And what are you doing in October, December, October through December.
Right.
You're not playing baseball.
No.
And then all of a sudden in January, you've got to ramp up and try to go play a tournament, especially pitchers. That's the one. Pitchers are trying
Even
to
if
keep
you
in
go
shape.
to Arizona in October.
Right, so
so now you got all of November and December
Yes.
and 2 weeks in January.
Yeah.
And that's
crazy.
I think so too.
But
Especially this year.
yeah,
Because it's been raining straight for the past
Right.
3 weeks. There's been no chance to throw any live or bullpens.
True.
Right.
but there are guys that just play tournament ball too. They don't play on teams. That historically,
Yeah.
when I was with the Dragons, we had uniform numbers that were taken by guys who they only went with the Dragons down to Arizona or down to Palm Springs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But this weekend in Palm Springs, if you're a baseball nut and you want to play whenever you can,
Yeah.
and it's traditionally Palm Springs in January is high 60s, low 70s with
perfect
really no
baseball
rain.
weather. Yeah.
Nice.
So it works out nice.
What about Arizona? You played in Arizona?
I went to Arizona,
A
20
number.
times. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
yeah.
There's
no
a
rain.
feel. There's a
rain.
feel. It's
You got to go. That's good.
I participated.
It stayed married all in the process. What's your excuse?
I'm barely hanging on.
We went from a
I'm married
baseball
way
show
up.
to a sad marital show. So I love the buzz. There's a certain buzz. Never mind the fills. You kind of can count on those things being true with the hop. The ground balls in the outfield are kind of a pain in the butt because they don't stop until they hit the fence because there's nothing to slow them down.
Right. But they're huge, big outfields.
But it's a fun environment, and the level of competition, you could find yourself going, whoa,
Yeah, no doubt.
yeah.
It's a great experience.
I could get why people would want to only play tournaments. I get that. I just, Palm Springs in January just seemed like
That's a tough one.
that's a tough, maybe a November one. When you get done with Arizona.
Yeah. Well, there's a Florida one in November, I think.
yeah.
What's that? That's they call that another name, right? There's a.
Yeah.
It used to be the World Series was one in Florida, one
Fall
in Arizona.
Classic, I think
Yeah,
it's called.
that's
It's
that
called
is
Fall
what
Classic?
it is. Yeah.
You ever play that?
No.
I'm not even going to ask you.
It's happy to be
The hell,
here.
yeah, I'm just happy that you're right.
Listen,
God willing.
The furthest I've gone outside the league is I play in San Quentin.
So tell me about that.
So there are a bunch of players from our league that several of us bring teams in to play the inmates. San Quentin is a level 2 prison, which means it's got a lot of programs to help inmates develop, make a transition. This is one of, I think it's 7 different sports that they have. There's some very talented ball players inside. They're always the home team. And there are a couple of REBL players who are brown card holders and are the ones who organize this and bring teams in. Elliott Smith was one of the people who started it. Steve Reichart, who does not play, and by the way, needs a kidney. Still is a brown card holder. There are a couple other guys that bring, like I said, that along with me bring baseball teams in there. No age restriction, obviously, so many of the guys bring their sons in, and it's fun. It's fast. The field is horrible, and it's a short porch to right field with a lot of goose turds out there. And you get a little heckling, and it just makes it's got a lot of character. A lot of guys come in there because they're curious, but they end up staying because they realize it's pretty rewarding. We've seen ball players from inside San Quentin come out, make the transition, and find ball teams to go play with when they got out.
Does anybody ever end up writing to some of the guys you played with?
Yeah. Yeah,
Really?
there are players that have stayed in touch.
Wow.
For sure.
So is it a bat or is it a shank?
No, they're.
Come on, you can tell us.
They are the players are extremely kind to us. There's a lot of razzing of their own in there, and the fellows who don't play or walking by you're in the yard, and so it's the marathon track, which is a quarter a mile for a marathon track that is around the baseball diamond. You can see everything. One of the guys that you and I both played with, Zach Zeisler, had two of his sons in a game there with him, and Zach hit a grand slam over the right field wall with both his sons on base.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. So it's a fun experience. I think it's very rewarding, and you get a little extra baseball in.
Yeah, because you need that. Is that another one of those January things?
No, their season is really mirrors ours. It's generally April to September. It's a little bit shorter. And there are teams all over the state that come in to play them.
So roughly, how many games will they? Sorry about that. How many games will they play? Roughly.
They'll play 2 days a week, a Thursday or a Wednesday, and then a Saturday doubleheader, which is it's an all-day experience, and it probably goes the same 20 weeks or so that our season is.
Have you done the Saturday ones?
I've never done a Saturday one. Again,
We do the weeknight ones. So.
yeah, I've done a lot of weeknight.
Yeah.
And if you live in the Bay Area, you know what that's like when that sun starts going down and it's a little chilly out there.
Yeah.
So,
Have you played it?
I've done it a couple times.
Wow. Did you have a good experience?
I did. Yeah, the whole process of getting in can be a little bit tedious.
yes.
But once you're in and you're playing, it's another game on another field,
Right.
and you're strapping them up and you're competing with other guys.
You get to wear metal spikes?
No.
You can now.
Really?
You can wear metal spikes. I wear my rubber cleats when I go in there.
Yeah, when I went,
I don't
we
wanna hassle.
couldn't have our metal spikes.
They have very strict rules about what you bring in, and it's very limited as far as equipment and anything else. No pictures, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, again, they're extremely grateful. It's great to see different pitching too that you're not used to from some young. There's some young live arms out there too.
Oh yeah, they got some ball players in there. Yeah, and the San Quentin guys are best behavior and very nice, and it's a great perk for them. So they don't want to mess with that.
You've got to be. You have to be a good inmate and a good ball player to be there. And this is, I think it's one of the only programs in the country that does this.
Yeah.
Wow. Where do they get the equipment from?
It's donated.
Yeah, it's
Actually,
donated.
the A's and the Giants in the past have donated a lot of equipment. Baseballs, bats, catcher's gear, helmets.
Oh, that's fantastic. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Jesus. All right.
It's funny. One little blurb on that. So when I was playing semi-pro baseball at the Petaluma Express back in the early and mid '80s, we actually traveled to Vacaville. So the Vacaville prison was in the league. They were a league member, and we always every year we had 3 or 4 games in Vacaville.
Inside.
Yes. Yeah. And so the difference to me between San Quentin and Vacaville is that Vacaville was much wilder, because when we played during the rec hour. So it wasn't just playing against the guys. You had inmates all over the field talking to you and doing whatever they do. Stripping down and it's just crazy. And you got guys behind the dugout and asking, "Do you have an extra uniform? You got an extra uniform? Give me an extra uniform. Walk out with you guys."
There are definitely some characters in the yard when you're out there playing.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's
So
really
that
interesting.
was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Who minor league baseball here in Sonoma County? What are the chances we get a team back here? We had a mayor here
it's
in town.
back. The Pacifics are back. You mean like a affiliated league?
Affiliated league. Yeah.
Well, this, independent. I mean, we've had 3 shots at independent league baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Pioneers, the Crushers, the Stompers over in Sonoma, and then, like you say, the Pacifics down in San Rafael.
Yeah.
It's a tough market to do. You need a small stadium.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm a baseball guy. I loved it. I would go there any time I could to go watch a ball game. But not everybody feels that way, and people have busy schedules and do a lot of other things. I'm not sure that it would be successful. I think the closest thing we have right now are the Stompers, and they're really playing now. They're a collegiate affiliated league, right? It's a
Aren't the Stompers still with the Pacifics and the Scuba Divers?
I thought
that-
you could be right. I thought
I don't know.
for at least
Maybe-
for a year they had changed because they
Well, there was some alignment different jumping with leagues during the pandemic because some played, some didn't play.
Right.
So I know they didn't play at all one year. So I'm not sure where it's at right now. I do know that the Scuba Divers will be back at Doyle Park this year, and they play against the Pacifics, I think. And I can't remember if the Stompers are part of that or not.
Who are those players? Where do they come from? Are that like guys who have played minor league ball or college ball and are just trying to extend their time in baseball and maybe catch on?
Yeah.
Or are they minor league players who have been, hey, we're not going to keep you on our team. We're going to send you to play with them, but you're still somehow tied to an organization?
Yeah, I think it's more college guys that have now maybe they're junior or seniors, or maybe now they're done and they're still holding on. Maybe they're 25, 26. Right. They played 3-4 years in college, and this is like an upper level collegiate league. Like we have the Prune Packers in Hillsburg, but that's really a collegiate summer league for guys that are like in college and still playing. And then the independent ball is I think a little more older guys. So
guys are just trying to hang around.
Yeah, they like
see if they can catch on.
And they still got skills. They still they still have a dream of getting seen.
Right, and making it there.
Yeah.
And again, with a county that's got 500,000 residents, it's a tough go to get, to have anything other than, I think, than, in my opinion, than an independent or a collegiate league here.
Okay.
To get butts in seats.
Mm-hmm.
All right, local guys in MLB. Okay, and this could be minor league guys. You just sit down and relax. I know you're going to try and talk about a neighbor.
No, I'm not.
Well, nonsense. If I let you go first, we'll never get to the next one.
I defer to the commish.
Yeah. How many guys have we? I mean, there's there's the number one draft pick. We got that. There's also some other guy, like maybe out of Santa Rosa, or and they don't have to be in the major leagues. They could be in the minor leagues, like the kid Joe Lampe out of Casa, right? He's now a Cleveland third round pick, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who else, you know of anybody else? I mean, maybe some of the guys you played with their kid, or
yeah. I think there's obviously there's Spencer Torkelson,
stole your thunder,
right?
Okay.
And then there's is it Jake Cousins as a reliever? I think with the Marlins. There's a couple of Marlins.
So
that were local that came out
Anthony
of
Bender.
Yeah, Bender.
He just
right.
had Tommy John surgery. So the three Petalumans that I know of are Justin Brule.
Justin Brule.
Spencer Torkelson with the Tigers, Justin's with the Dodgers, and then Anthony Bender with the Marlins.
Mm-hmm.
We got three kids from Santa Rosa. I wrote it down. Andrew Vaughn, who is a year ahead of Spenny.
out of Cal.
Out of Cal, he's with the White Sox. We got Scott Alexander, left-handed pitcher, I think, for the Giants.
Out of Newman and Sonoma State.
Right, and then Jason Alexander with the Brewers.
Yeah.
And
Isn't
then
he the actor?
Yeah, different one. I don't see that guy playing baseball. And then Garrett Hill from Sebastopol is with the Tigers also. So a bunch, and then there's a kid from Vallejo. What is it? Willie Calhoun. He's with the Giants also.
Willie Calhoun's out of Vallejo.
Vallejo, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So again, like I say, for a small area, there's a ton of talent. That's major leaguers only.
Yeah.
I remember I grew up in Sacramento, played at Sac City, and you always used to hear about Santa Rosa Junior College. And the other one was Delta College down in Stockton. Mm-hmm. And so it was like no easy game. Everything was a dogfight with them. Yeah. So you knew there was talent here. But I think you made a comment earlier about Northern California. There's a lot of players.
Yeah. And there's a lot of good coaching.
There is
locally.
Yeah.
Here, a lot of real good coaches that do a great job of developing kids.
And REBL's got a lot of guys who played minor league ball too.
Yeah.
You know, so
Really?
yeah, there was John Balleri comes to mind.
Yeah, Chris White,
Chris White.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Did that guy Ryan McClellan? How do you say his name? McClellan.
You got it.
McClellan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he play minor league ball?
No.
Okay. Who else on your team? Did you have anybody else? You played semi-pro, right?
I played semi-pro, played college ball. I think Wayne Chinnapin played for the Canadian national team, and he played minor league ball. Wayne Chinnapin, who I played with.
Pelletier. Did
There
he
was
play pro
Barney
ball?
Kaufman, not Barney. Barney didn't play minor league ball. Jay Kibbe was a minor,
Yeah,
minor
right.
league player.
That's right.
Played in our league for a long time.
Yeah.
That's a good league.
Travis Oglesby, who played I played with on the Pirates for several years.
Okay.
He's my league guy. Jeff England, another guy I played 1 year with the Pirates on. He was my league guy. He now runs the Petaluma youth program out of Athletic Edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm sure there's more.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Well,
Yeah.
but also forgetting, Johnny Gomes played Major League Baseball. He's not a Rebel player, but
Right.
came out of Petaluma as well.
Did
Oh,
Joey?
right.
I know his
Joey,
brother.
I don't know if Joey
Minor league ball.
He played minor league ball. I don't know if he got up for a cup of coffee or
No, I don't think he did. Johnny is
what. Johnny was a long
Joey,
Like 14 years, yeah.
And Joey's done an outstanding job with the
He's
Prune Packers.
He's a great coach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. That's fun. That's interesting. Well, needless to say, the league's got a lot of talent, right? And I still can't get over the Palm Springs thing. I'm working on that.
I do want to say you talk about the league having a lot of talent, but one of the things that's great about REBL is you see we talk about guys who played professional baseball or college baseball. There are guys who've come back from not playing baseball since probably Little League. Maybe their last stint was pony or majors or whatever when they were 12, and they decided to get back out there, and they're out there too. And some of them are very talented, but we don't discriminate. Anybody can come out and play. It's Little League for old guys.
Yeah,
So-
it is. That's a good way to put it. Minus the injury thing.
Hey, it's not rugby and it's not basketball, which
That's true.
way more contact.
That's true.
Oh, it's just you get older and you can't just roll out of bed on a Sunday and go play a baseball game without doing anything during the week. So
True.
That's how you get hurt. So it's just if you're going to play, you get older, then you keep yourself in shape a little bit during the week. Not much you have to do, but
No.
a little bit.
Takes some effort to get out and play,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's even if you work out. I mean, there's nothing worse than hitting the ball and somebody falls down, and now you got to go first, home to third, right?
Well, when you go to your first practice, even if you've been lifting, you haven't necessarily done exercises that are going to prepare you to take 30 ground balls,
Right.
at second base
Right.
in a couple hours, because you're going to go back and everything's going to hurt.
What do you do off season? I mean, I know you go to the gym, but I mean, is that pretty much what you do off season?
I try to get some cardio and lift. I haven't this year. Been horrible. Well, this is a short year so far. Do a little bit of that. I'll try and get out and throw in this month if it ever stops raining. My wife doesn't like it when I do that in the house. So you try and get out and do a little
She's
bit
not
of
a
that.
team player.
And for lifting, I try to do the thrower's 10 or something
Right.
akin to that, because even though I'm a position player, the connective tissue hurts a lot more than it ever used to.
So you pitch, and that's another one of those positions you cannot just show up and throw.
No, if you want to.
So what do you do off season?
Off season, I usually take 3 months off, and after Arizona, usually I will maybe throw once a week during November, December. Now that we're getting into January, I think I went out and hit last week, and I threw a little bit, threw some BP, and so that'll start ramping up now. I generally just keep in shape anyways. Not really.
Okay.
I don't. It's not really baseball shape. It's just me just keeping myself in shape. But I will throw, and I do some arm exercises, some small weight exercises that I'll do once a week during off season, but then I'll do twice a week when we start
Okay.
ramping things up to keep my shoulder in shape.
Okay, here's a burning question. How come there's no teams in our league named the Dodgers?
That's a good, or the Yankees.
You said we don't discriminate, but we do.
Well, we let Dodger fans play on our teams.
I-
We have some of our good friends are Dodger fans.
Listen, and we were so bad to him. He now plays pickleball.
That's right. It's so true.
I mean, so you said you don't discriminate.
And they're not even closeted. I mean, they admit that they're Dodger. It's like they're proud of it or something.
I mentioned the Yankees because we actually did have a Yankees team for several years up until like last year they changed their name. But Dodgers, I think we had. Did we ever have? I'm
don't
trying
remember.
to rack my brain
I
if
don't.
we've ever had a Dodgers team.
Even back in the
Ever.
early 90s, I don't remember
I'm
a
trying
Dodgers
to.
team.
I don't. Did we have one for like 1 or 2 years? Maybe like in the late 2000s.
Were they disappeared?
I think maybe we did. I'm trying to
They were
rack my
never
brain.
heard
Maybe
from
we
again?
And it wasn't a discriminatory move. It was just they were asked to go play someplace else.
Right. They couldn't get players.
I mean, exactly.
They couldn't find anybody to
Oh,
put
no,
on the
I'm
jersey.
not wearing this. Yeah.
I mean, the Rockies, right? The Rockies are like in 3 different divisions, right?
Yeah.
Look at
The Pirates, you got the Pirates in 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
Blue Jays.
The
Tigers.
Giants are only in
Yeah.
1, right?
Giants are in 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're
Yeah.
35s and 45s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how in the world do the Blue Jays end up in they're in 2 divisions now, or they're going to be in 3?
I think this year we're going to have 3 Blue Jays teams.
Yeah, they're taking over the Cubs in the 55.
No. The Cubs are staying the Cubs in the 55. The Blue Jays will have a new Blue Jays team in the American League, 25s. We'll have a new Blue Jays team in the 35s. And that's funny because we had a 35 Blue Jays team last year. They changed their name. Then we had a new team come in this year that then picked the Blue Jays name. And then we have a 45 Blue Jays team.
Right.
So we can't have the Dodgers, we have the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, 3 of them.
So Canadians are nice. Nobody holds anything against Canadians.
That's a crappy answer.
Sorry, it's all I got.
So it's all about the jerseys, right? They got a nice looking
Exactly.
jersey, got the bird.
Exactly. I just thought there would be more
Jerseys and
Giants
hats.
teams.
Yeah, I thought once we opened that up you could double up on team names, just not in the same division. I thought once we opened that we're gonna have a Giants team in every division. Just hasn't happened that way.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, thank you, Rick, Allan. That's it. That was fun.
That was fun. Thank you for having me. That was
You're
great.
welcome. Thanks for coming on and giving us the information.
Of course.
Once again, let's go over the website real quick. It's rebl.org.
Yes.
And that's where you'll get the information regarding tryouts or league information, right? And there's a phone number on there. You want me to give that phone number out or
Sure.
not? So
Yeah.
that's 707-542-1836. Does that go to you?
That's a landline in my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no prank calls.
Kind of a landline. It's internet now. Right.
There you go.
Not a true landline anymore.
Okay. All right. Looking forward to the baseball season. Thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Allan.
All right.
Welcome to the Live Explore podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe.